So the last game of the night saw Lightning take on Mavericks. And I'm not going to lie, I completely called it wrong to begin with. I did call the Lightning win, but a close game, and it didn't end up being as close as most of us would have expected. Mavericks obviously a bit light on a couple of players for various different reasons, but still, you know, starting lineup similar to what we've seen. The difference probably from what we've seen before was Collard in at goal defence because Joe Tripp wasn't available due to injury. But what we saw right from the start was Lightning come out the blocks. It was like watching Thunder again. Lightning came out the blocks to prove what they were made of and exactly what they were there for. And Liversidge has in 3 games, oh my goodness, has she grown. Fast, speedy, moving the ball around. She was key in that attacking play, letting ball go with confidence, absolute confidence. The timing that they had on their moves was beautiful. And Alice Harvey at the back was silencing Kadeen Corbin. That's no easy feat, in fairness. They were doing a lot of pressure throughout the court. I mean, credit to Lightning defence. We've seen their defence before. That box defence they have at the back is really solid, and they do not give in. They run hard on ball. So when I talked about previous, in the last game, the fact that when you are in a zone position, you know, they're buffering off. And this is what Lightning do. They were forcing them high. So they were standing in those positions ready to run on ball, but they're also forcing them high at the same point in time. In the midcourt, you can see almost a circle of Lightning players, and they're forcing them wide away from the ball and creating that middle space for them. But really focusing, as well as on their space, focusing on keeping that player where they want them to be. And that's absolutely key when you play as a unit, because you don't want them all to be crisscrossing and going wherever they like. You need to keep control as well. Fantastic. Mavs needed to use the ball more to open up the space. So around the circle especially, they were trying to force ball in a lot, waiting for their shooters to move and reposition. And what they need to do a bit more is just move that ball around circle edge to create that opening for their shooters. We see the likes of Sirens do this really, really well, especially because they've got front hold shooters. They can move it around. Obviously, you need to be a bit careful, because if you haven't screened off your defenders, you've got the players, the likes of May, that will run on the ball. But, you know, if you are holding that position strong and you can see that you've got a shooter non-ball side, if you ping it ball side, you can pop it in. And that's kind of what they were missing. They also weren't getting much depth on second phase, whereas Lightning were pinging 1, 2, 3 and in. And again, that's credit to Lightning's defence, because they were stepping up. If they were going over, they were keeping them up, and they ended up quite lateral. I felt for Mavericks, their defence needed to pick a phase, and they needed to pick, like, have bits that they were going to do and things that they were going to let go. Sometimes you find when teams get behind or the pressure gets on in defence, they're just trying to do everything all at once, and it's just never going to work. Sometimes you just have to pick. So it's, for instance, it could be that they step up and they go really hard on first phase, or it could be that they then go really hard. They leave first phase and they step up and keep them up and go really hard on preventing second phase. It's the same as if it's a one-on-one battle. You've got to decide when you're going to go for that ball and your chances of getting it, and when you're going to land and just dictate the next step of play. And that's what I thought Mavs were missing a little bit. They were a little bit all over the place in terms of what their next job was. So 12-7 was the first quarter, and to be fair, it looked at the beginning like it was going to be more. Mavs did come back a little bit and start to plug. Quarter 2 saw lots of changes for Mavs. Clark came on, Corbin went to goal attack. Marshall came on at centre. Really nice to see Gabby Marshall back. Not surprised that they brought Clark on, because Corbin SM obviously wasn't working so well for them. And, you know, when they were moving the ball quicker, it was better. So I would say that there was a little bit of improvement in this quarter. However, we did then see Chloe SM come on mid-quarter and Kadeen Corbin go on off. And sorry, yeah, I'm going to say it wrong, come on at goal defence. It was 14-10 to Loughborough that quarter, so ended up 26-17. So it's still a turnaroundable game, but looking at the style of Loughborough and what's going on for Mavs, you kind of think Mavs need to settle a little bit. Are they going to? Is this a better lineup? Are they going to run it through? We waited to see. Quarter 3 saw more changes. Sasha Corbin back on at centre. So Sasha Corbin had started at centre, come off for Gabby Marshall, comes back on at centre. Zarienka moves to wing defence, and Collard comes back on at goal defence. Mavs struggled through the zone, again, in that middle by Loughborough. I think their confidence was a little bit dented at this point in time, and to let the ball go quickly, you've got to have confidence. To get through a zone, you need somebody punching through the middle, and then, you know, maybe clearing, opening up the space on the wide. We just weren't seeing much of it. We saw a couple of long balls, and they were just picked off. Chloe Assam's drives into space is sometimes in the same space as the goal shooter as well. And I guess, you know, combinations just need time to work. And obviously they're missing their, and you know, another one of their goal shooters. Maybe that will make a difference when she comes back. But I still rate Clark. I think Clark did, you know, a reasonable job. It's just, it was just hard when everyone's firing different. What they needed to do was mix up their timings a little bit. Sorry, this is what Loughborough needed to do. Loughborough did this well, and it's what Mavs need to do. Loughborough mix up their timing, so they've got a quick release, and then a 3-second ball. So you never quite know which one they're going to go on. And again, this is something that comes with confidence. When you've got confidence to turn and deliver, and you can turn and give that quick ball because you've done the work to lose the player. You're not under pressure when you're letting the ball go. And at the same point in time, you know that if somebody's not there on the first second, you can see them coming, you can wait for it to open up. That's confidence in your team and confidence in your play. And they really showed that, and it's just a little bit that Mavs were lacking. It was great to see Jazz Audio Bearing come on at goal defence. I really rate this girl. She came on at goal defence with like 5 minutes left of the third quarter. And I'm pleased, even though Lightning were doing so well, that she still came on, because I think she's done such a good job in the last couple of games that she deserved to be on that court as well. Mavs needed to try and delay Loughborough a bit, but like I say, again, that ball was just quick. And again, it's just that picking a job. Quarter 3 saw a better scoring by Mavs. So they saw Mavs have 12 goals, Loughborough 19 goals. We should mention that Ella Clark came on. When did Ella Clark come on? I think maybe in the third. I haven't written it down, so I'm sorry. Mavs did a change before the end of the third quarter as well. Beth Kewer-Dale came back on at centre for Mavs. She started at wing defence and obviously went off for Zarinienka to come on. But she came back on. And then quarter 4, we saw a couple more changes for Loughborough. We saw Williams come on to wing attack, a lovely young player. Nicole come at wing defence, Paris at goal attack, and Clark at goal shooter. So when Clark came on at goal attack, it must have been quarter 3. I'm so sorry for not writing it down. That's poor form by me. Yeah, don't know. When she came on at goal attack, you had Clark and Chulhock in at the shooting end. It was amazing. They're massive. And I absolutely love Clark's she seems relaxed and casual, but she's always in a space. She's a games player. She's watching. She knows when to cut in. She knows when to come out. She knows when to pop the ball up. And they just have ultimate faith in each other. The shooter to shooter ball, she just pops that off. She's a really nice player to watch. But having her and Liversidge, this is what the top players, the top teams now are really showing. And I think it's key that in their shooting ends, they have 2 solid shooters at goal attack and at goal shooter. So the teams like Thunder, they had Cardwell and Mavula. I mean, both can shoot from anywhere, both can get rebounds, both are fantastic players, and both you would have in your starting lineup. But having them both on at the same point in time is brilliant, because you have confidence in either player to get the ball and put the shot up. So the defence have to work harder because anyone can shoot, right? And then when you look at Lightning, they had Liversidge and Chulhock. Admittedly, I don't think Liversidge played as well in her first game, but now she's absolutely on fire. Both of whom will put the ball up at any point in time and are absolutely fine with it. And you could bank, you know, they get the ball and you don't go, is it going in? You don't hold your breath. It's almost like, okay, brilliant, they've got the ball. And then when you bring Clark into the mix with Clark and Chulhock, it's like, yeah, brilliant. If they get the ball, fine. Quite happy, relaxed. Chances are it's going in. It's the same at Bath. When you look at Borger and Sophie DL, they get the ball, fine, it's going in. And when you look at the teams that are struggling, they're the teams where the goal attacks either aren't necessarily stepping up, or they're struggling to get the ball in, or they have to get it close to post, and they're just not as strong. There's one that's a lot stronger than the other. And I think that's really key, in my opinion. Moving forward, that will be the telltale sign between the winning teams and the teams that don't quite stack up. Anyway, quarter four, yeah, so all those changes for Loughborough, but you know what? You're winning now, 45-29, going into nearly fell off my chair, going into the fourth. Of course, you're going to make changes. Play your team out. Get some of the youngsters on, and they did a really good job. They still stepped up and absolutely smashed it. And this is what makes a winning squad, isn't it? To have the youngsters come on in that position when you're quite far into the game and you've got a good scoreline means that they can play with that confidence. So they're getting that exposure of playing with that confidence. Every time they're stepping on court, having that positive experience, when they're coming off it, that's in their minds. So before they're going on to a next game, they're thinking of what happened in the last game, and it's a really positive experience. And if you think about it, they're going into every game knowing how to win, because that's the exposure that they've had. It's a great position to be in, but it's also fantastic for these developing youngsters. And they came on and they absolutely smashed it. Mavericks had another switch of Corbin going on to goal attack in quarter four. I couldn't tell you why, to be fair. And we ended up with 15 goals to 6 goals in that quarter by Lightning. Wowza, it was great. Nat Panigari got player of the match. Sarah Bayman said, you know, all 12 were on and there wasn't a drop. She's great that she had options. She said that she had a half-time nag at the team because she felt they could have pulled away and put the game to bed a bit earlier than they did. And I love that. And when she was questioned on team cohesion, saying, you know, all your teams seem to be behind each other and it's all lovely. And she quite honestly said, you know what, it's really easy to be a really cohesive team when you are winning. And that is so true. The essence of a team as to how close they are is what they do when they're on the opposite end of that, what they do when they're being challenged, what they're doing when they're being pushed. And you know what, they'll see. But it was a great display by Loughborough. Again, just showing that they should be a top 4 team. Kat Ratnapala said, you know what, Loughborough bought it, every credit to them. Absolutely right. She said she's got lots of questions to ask tonight, lots of questions of the team, and that they weren't good enough. She said that they had tired legs, but ultimately they can't use excuses. They weren't good enough. And again, completely right. But I think at some point in time, when you are on the back end of these games that are really tough, you have to, I don't know, how do you get your team to come back from that deficit? They've won both of their previous games, Mavs, don't get me wrong, but they're just not the team that we've seen before. And I think maybe this introduction of the players that they're missing might make a big difference. I also think a little bit of self-belief, but they physically looked completely down on themselves when you saw the video afterwards. And I completely understand why, because it wasn't a great game for them. But the thing is, they are classy. They've got some really classy players. They've got some amazing players. Let's not beat around the bush. And they absolutely have the capacity to be a top 4 team. They just need to go back to the drawing board and work out how to make that work. It was a little bit too big bingo for me tonight, but you know what? I've been in that situation before where nothing's working. I've probably done exactly the same, just thrown everything at it that I can. But that's not the solution, is it? The solution is to chuck this game in the bucket, chuck it in the bucket, work on what they can change, focus on themselves and go off and change it, because they can't change how outstanding Loughborough were, and they were. And they were literally given nothing to work with on that respect. Loughborough stood up, but obviously they're going to have to go away and look at themselves. But if any team can come back, they can. It's a bit like when Storm was saying again, you know, everyone would have written them off before that game. And I think, you know what, again, it's another team that has some outstanding players in it. And you can't really write many teams off in this league. They just have to find a way of making it work. We have seen in netball before that you can have 7 superstars on a court and it can fall apart. You can have 7 newbies on a court, 7 youngsters on a court, and they can absolutely smash it. And it's all about nailing the basics, working out what you're doing together as a team, and then putting it out there on court and having the confidence and the belief to do it and enjoying it. The teams that play with a smile tend to play the best. But as Sarah Bayman quite rightly pointed out, it's easier to smile, isn't it, when you're on a winning team? Let's face it, everybody likes to win. Oh, I think I've talked myself to death now. Tonight, 2 more games. I am so excited. I am absolutely loving this. I hope you guys are. Please keep tuning in to Sky Netball. Thank you, Sky Netball, for everything. I'll see you after tonight's game.